Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Cloudology video. And today I have a little something special for you guys today. So I got a video request from man named Mohammed, and he was asking about the CI/CD process and what it is, and if I could explain it and kind of break it down on how it works. And I'm going to not only explain how it works, but I'm also going to show you a real life example of how you would do it. Granted, it's at a very high level, and it's very simple CI/CD pipeline, but technically, still a version of a CI/CD pipeline. So let's get into the explanation at first. So this flowchart was actually made by Lucidchart. Um, they're a company basically that a software company that allows you to make diagrams and other charts and stuff like that. I really like their software. But let me get into explaining the process. So first off, CI/CD stands for continuous integration slash continuous delivery. So, what does that mean? Essentially, what it means is that there's going to be some type of automated process between making new releases to software, right? Making new releases to websites, adding features to website. There's some type of automated system in place that tests your code and then redeploys the new version of the code in some fashion. That's the general high level overview of what CI/CD is. And if you look at this flowchart, I can give you a little bit more insight to what's going on at a finer detail, right? So you, let's say you're a developer, you're a software developer, and you're pulling down code to create a new feature for this website. You pulled a ticket, they're like, hey, fix this thing, or hey, add this new feature, right? So you're going to pull down that branch locally. You're going to make your code changes. You're going to do your own, visual tests. And then you're going to open a pull request on GitHub. And what a pull request is, which I'll show you a little bit later, is essentially you're just comparing your changes to the main branch and publicizing your code to your team so that they can go in and look at it and kind of review it and see what changes are being made, and also where tests can kind of take place in this pull request, right? So typically after that, there's some kind of peer review. So another developer looks at it, and then typically it will go to some type of automated testing suite that is looking for specific things, like maybe not breaking certain components, or maybe testing API endpoints if you're doing it in that way. And then the pull request is going to be out there, and then you're going to, if it passes and everything checks out, you're going to merge that pull request. And the way a lot of companies do it is they merge it into a QA environment where they have a fully dedicated QA team that does a whole plethora of testing, automated testing, and then that goes into a pre-production system. Well, if you work at smaller companies, you don't have that. You develop your own tests and you do your own thing, and uh, you just try your best not to break the environment. But so assuming we're not going to have a QA team, so we're doing this something like startup level type deal, or your own personal projects, right? Um, and essentially, when all those automated tests pass, it's going to deploy that in an automated fashion as well. So typically, the way that's done is it's done via um, a push to a main branch on GitHub or some type of Git repository, and then it triggers a build somewhere. And basically, that redeploys the new version of your application. So, what I'm going to do for you today is I'm going to kind of show you that process. So, right here, granted, this is mostly just code. This is a default React app. I literally just use create React app. I'll actually show you what it looks like right here. It's just the default create React app, and I have that. That was something that I put in there that doesn't work. But nonetheless, I digress. So let's say I pulled this code that this website has running locally. So that's exactly what I did here. So if I want to make changes to this code and then push it to a Git repository on a separate branch, so I'm going to push it to a dev branch that I already have set up here. So ideally, let's go through the entire process. So if I do a Git checkout main, do a Git pull. All right, so we pulled a few things from a Docker file, which I believe are incorrect. Oh no, they're correct. Okay. So and then if we go over to so basically we just pulled changes from the main branch, and we're gonna do git checkout dev. This is my other branch. We're gonna do git pull main, just make sure we have already. Make sure we have. Oh, sorry. Git pull origin main. And basically, that's just going to bring in any changes that we have into this branch. So now we're actually going to change the code to the app. So instead of it saying this right here, we're going to make it say something else. We're going to make it say, here's a sentence that makes no sense at all. Okay. So that's going to be our changes. And now we're going to push this to our dev branch that is on our Git repository. So you create a new branch and then we're going to compare it. So I'm going to do a git add all. We're going to do a git commit dash m super cool changes. We're going to do a git push. And so what that's going to do is that is going to push to our dev branch here, and we're going to go to open a pull request and do new pull request. Or to compare it to, so we're comparing it to the main branch, but we have to select our dev change. And right here, you can see this is what we added to our code right now that I just pushed up to this branch. And we're going to create this pull request. And now I have it set up to where I create this pull request. It runs some automated tests. It's something extremely simple. It's literally just checking for certain elements. So if we go here, this is called GitHub Actions. And this is a way you can do, you could do both continuous integration and continuous delivery with GitHub Actions. I just chose to do the testing portion. So the continuous integration portion, right? So essentially this is just going to run this NPM test right here, which is just going to check, literally all it's doing is it's checking that this line exists. So you can see here's our test. It's literally looking for learn what CI/CD is. That's literally what it's looking for in this one single test that I have here. So here you can see it passed our test, which means that this is now, this workflow, once it builds, is now going to allow our changes to be merged into the main branch. So I cannot merge this code without these tests passing. And ideally, that's the way you want it to be, right? So you want this to not be able to merge unless all the tests that you have defined are passing. So now we see that it has passed all of these tests. This one single simple test that I have, I can merge this pull request into the main branch, which is going to trigger the CD or continuous delivery portion of this example. So if I confirm this merge and I come over to services here, so this is my Cloud Run service that I have this running on. And if I click on this, you can see it's now already rebuilding. So it sensed, or it knows that the main branch got updated. So now it needs to build a new image based off of the Docker file and the new changes, and it's going to deploy those new changes. So this URL right here is going to change once this revision is completely deployed. So I know this is a gross oversimplification of what CI/CD is, but to be honest, guys, it's really not that hard of a concept. Hard to implement, not hard to understand. So ideally, in CI/CD, you want to test at every possible step, pretty much. So it's no more than just one set of tests. Ideally, in best case scenario, you want multiple tests going into the release process. You want to test some type of networking. Because this isn't testing for networking at all. This is just to make sure that the code isn't broken. So you should have like some sort of network tests. making sure that it actually runs in an environment and receives and sends data as it needs to, right? So ideally, you want to test as much as possible in between all of these steps. And then once this revision gets provisioned out, so you can see I was doing some testing here earlier, just to make sure I had everything ready to go for this video. So this is taking a little while. So ideally, actually at this time, I want to mention this website right here, and this is getmoneycoding/coaching, and essentially what that is a very good friend of mine called Fido over at Get Money Coaching. Get Money Coding, sorry, /coaching is basically a complete badass. And what I mean by that is the man came from almost nothing, built himself up, completely self-taught to be a software developer. And I understand in the business of cloud, it also helps to have an understanding of software development. So if you're someone that has no idea what any of this stuff is and you somehow made it to this video and you're like, I don't even know what code is, this is probably a good place for you to start, because this man knows what it takes to get from zero to getting paid for actually developing software and coding. So if you're interested in learning web development and getting into here, I am also in this program as well. You have direct access to both Fido and myself. So if you're interested in more, cloud oriented things, I'm going to soon be adding a little bit more value to this as far as a cloud perspective goes, because I want to give those guys in there some exposure to cloud, because I think it makes you a better developer to begin with. So with that being said, please visit the link in my description, which is getmoneycoding.com/coaching. Tell them Cody from Cloudology sent you, or tell them you're here from Cloudology. And that way we can get you on the path to making some good money while developing software and learning about all this cool stuff. And I hope that you guys consider that and check it out. So let's go back to our revision. Okay, so you can see our new revision has been deployed. So this was our old version. If we refresh this and we visit the new site, which might also take a while, this is running extremely slow today, and I'm not 100% sure why. But again, this was a quick example I literally threw this together a couple minutes ago, just to explain what CI/CD is. Okay, so you can see here are our changes. It's now deployed in production in a production environment. So this is a live website, right? You could literally go to this URL. Well, probably not by the time I release this video, but right now, if you somehow got this URL and were able to go to this, you could see all of these changes that we just made. And that's essentially, in a nutshell, what CI/CD is. So again, just to recap, we have a code change that we want to make to a production environment, right? We pull down our local code, we make our changes and open a pull request that does some type of automated testing, ideally during that process, or maybe get sent to a QA team or some type of automated testing. The key part here is the automation piece, because that's ideally how you develop a lot faster, is automating a lot of these tests so people don't have to physically put eyes on them to pass some of the baseline stuff, right? So you have some type of automated tests. Those tests pass, your code gets reviewed and it gets merged into the main branch. Well, when that main branch gets merged with your changes, it triggers a build. In our case, we're using continuous deployment in Cloud Run, but you can use a multitude of different methods. You can self-host your own CI/CD pipelines with tools like Jenkins and stuff like that, and completely customize it front to back. But this is just a simple way to do it. And then once Google Cloud Run or Cloud Build sees that there's a change to the main branch and there was a new pull request that was closed, it actually deploys that new code in a new revision. So I'll give a real quick overview of some of the descriptors here. So this is just a GitHub Actions thing. This is all our testing is doing. It's just running on an Ubuntu container, and it's running Node version 16, and it's doing an npm install and an npm test and a run build. So it's literally all it's doing as far as the GitHub Actions part goes. So that's just the testing portion. And then there's a lot that actually happens under the hood for Cloud Run. I won't get into that in this video, but I just wanted to give the overall example of what CI/CD is. So with that being said, that's all I got for you guys today. If you have any questions about anything, please check my description because I have all my links in there. I'm also going to add my email address in there that I just got. So you guys can email me directly. You can DM me on Instagram. You can leave comments on this video. You can join Get Money Coding /coaching and ask me questions directly there. And also level up your skill as a software developer or as, cloud engineer. And with that being said, guys, check out some of my other videos. If you like this video, leave me a like, leave some comments, make sure you subscribe, and hey, share this video with someone that might not know what CI/CD is, and hopefully this simplifies it a little bit for them. With that being said, guys, you guys have a great Thanksgiving and a great weekend. I'll see you next week. Bye.